Disney's Snow White, 2025, has arrived to an unusually harsh reception, even for a live-action remake. While Disney has been reimagining its animated classics for decades, few have faced the level of skepticism and criticism that this one has. Unlike some of the more recent remakes, which have been dismissed as uninspired but harmless, Snow White struggles under the weight of its legacy. The original 1937 animated film wasn't just Disney's first feature-length animated movie, it was a cinematic milestone. While Snow White takes cues from the studio's past adaptations, its approach closely mirrors 2015's Cinderella, another fairy tale remake that sought to modernize its heroine while expanding the world of the original film. However, where Cinderella thrived, Snow White falters. Two critical missteps, its underwhelming villain and its heroine's lack of meaningful growth, prevent it from reaching the same heights. A strong villain made Cinderella work. Snow White lacks the same edge. One of Cinderella's most successful elements was its handling of Lady Tremaine, played by Cate Blanchett. Director Kenneth Branagh gave the stepmother a richer backstory, adding layers of jealousy and bitterness that made her cruelty more chilling. While Blanchett's Tremaine was more subdued than the animated version, her quiet menace made her feel all the more real. By contrast, Snow White struggles to reimagine its villain, the Evil Queen. The 1937 film established her as one of Disney's most iconic antagonists, a figure of pure vanity and obsessive jealousy. Every moment she spends on screen builds toward her ultimate act of cruelty, poisoning Snow White in a desperate attempt to maintain her status as the fairest of them all. The new film attempts to deepen the Evil Queen's character by exploring her rise to power and the suffering she inflicts upon her kingdom. However, instead of strengthening her presence, this expanded backstory dilutes the singular obsession that made her so terrifying. By shifting the focus away from her jealousy of Snow White and onto her broader role, the film turns the Queen into a more generic villain, lacking the sharp, sinister focus that made her animated counterpart unforgettable. A heroine without growth undermines the story. Another reason Cinderella succeeded was its commitment to giving its heroine a meaningful character arc. The 1950 animated film portrayed Cinderella as patient and kind but largely passive. The live-action adaptation sought to address this by showing Cinderella's struggle with grief, her perseverance in the face of cruelty, and her ultimate triumph through self-discovery and personal strength. Snow White attempts a similar transformation but fails to give its heroine the emotional depth she needs. The 1937 Snow White was sweet but simplistic, an innocent princess who suffered at the hands of the evil queen before being saved by external forces. The 2025 film tries to make her more proactive by having her lead a rebellion against the queen, but it skips the emotional journey necessary to make that transformation feel earned. Unlike Cinderella, who endured hardship and found strength through her resilience, Snow White never truly faces a personal low point that forces her to grow. A cautionary tale for Disney's remakes. Disney's live-action remakes have always been a gamble, with some, The Jungle Book, Cinderella, proving to be well-received while others, Mulan, The Lion King, struggled to justify their existence. Snow White had the difficult task of remaking a film that holds a unique place in cinematic history. While it followed a proven formula, it overlooked the key ingredients that made Cinderella work, a villain with focus and a heroine with a compelling journey. Without those elements, Snow White ends up feeling like an imitation rather than a reinvention, proving that not all fairy tales are suited for the same treatment.